So we know that not all pregnancies are created equal. You know, I've showed this data. A recent study would suggest that each day older that calf is at weaning, he's worth about $3 to $3.50. So keep that number in mind. So we got potential of $98 in savings with RFI and $3 a day for age. One of the problems that we're seeing with selecting animals intensively for residual feed intake is this relationship here. Animals with a negative RFI or that are more feed efficient are older at puberty. Okay, so they don't reach puberty at the same rate. They're a little bit older. That makes some sense because RFI correlates nicely with body fat deposition. And a heifer has to reach a certain body fat to be pubertal. So if they're more efficient, they're not putting down as much body fat. So it takes them a little bit longer to reach puberty. And also calving interval. So the interval from when she calves till she gets pregnant again is a little bit extended in animals with a lower RFI. The good news is that most of our studies in Bos Taurus breeds, this is over 5 studies, it's only 4 to 8 days. So it's not huge. So we're sacrificing a little bit, but it's not a lot. Now this is where we have to talk about selection and single trait selection. If we all go out and place all of our pressure on selecting efficient animals, what's going to happen to these lines? They're probably going to do this. And we're going to get even a more dramatic shift in reproductive efficiency. So, just like any other trait, if you're interested in selecting for RFI or feed efficiency, I would suggest we start thinking about that. But we don't single trait select, okay? And we don't sacrifice feed efficiency for performance. So if you're in a sale where you have RFI bulls, pay attention to RFI, but also pay attention to average daily gain and other indicators of performance. Because sometimes that best RFI bull that has the largest negative number will have not as great a growth. And so yeah, he's feed efficient, but they're not as productive. So don't single trait select. RFI, like I said, there's no EPD for RFI right now. There are others you can use to estimate efficiency, maintenance energy, dollar energy, and residual average daily gain. Residual average daily gain is opposite of RFI. You want a positive number. Positive's good, negative's bad. We can genomically test for RFI if you're using Igenity's, or Igenity's out of business, but Igenity test or Zoetis' test. They do test for RFI. You can get an idea of efficiency of an animal. Or you can buy bulls at from RFI test stations. Wyoming has one, North Dakota has one, Iowa has some, so those are becoming more popular. The problem with RFI test sires is that RFI can only be calculated in groups. There's no national average. So your RFI is only calculated in the group of animals that are on that specific test. Okay? So that means you've got to be critical of the test. You want a major league test, one where you have a lot of bulls that are of high quality, so that you get an accurate representation of each bull's RFI, because they're compared. You're comparing between bulls. You don't necessarily want a high school test. When we think about high school sports, we'll see somebody really good, but is he really good just because everybody else is really bad? Okay? So, we don't want that test. And we definitely don't want the preschool T-ball test. My son started playing T-ball last year. You know how we judged who was the best? Who got hit in the face the least? Okay? So I don't want a test that has 5 bulls from one operation and they're not very good to begin with, because it's not going to tell you anything. Okay? So if you're looking at RFI tested bulls, be careful of that you're buying them from a test that's reputable. Closing thoughts, I think we should start thinking about and selecting for RFI or feed efficiency, but we should balance that with other traits. There's a lot of studies being conducted right now on RFI and reproductive performance. The studies that have been published have some limitations. There's not a lot of animals. And most importantly, don't single trait select for feed efficiency. Okay?